welcome to episode number 49, I believe. I think I got that right. Of Ironhammers Live, your weekly PC gaming podcast being broadcast live every single Tuesday, right here on Justin TV/Ironhammers at 11 PM here in the UK. Sometimes at 12, depending on who we've got guesting. Anyhow, my name is Bobby Goodin, also known throughout the online realm as Ironhammers. And joining me today is just one very special guest who's fast becoming a regular. That would be Mr. Harley Daniel Nutman. How the hell are you, man?
I'm pretty damn good.
Pretty damn good, that's what I like to hear. What have you been up to? Anything exciting?
Getting my ass handed to me in StarCraft.
That happened. I can attest to that, guys. It happened. It certainly happened. And he wasn't the only one.
No.
He wasn't.
And that's been about it, really.
We were actually supposed to have a challenger after the show. He wanted me to try and stream a game of StarCraft versus him from 12. He said he'll see me at 11 o'clock, but I don't see him in the chat room. But I do see Mr. Zeroing in the chat room. Welcome, buddy. I hope you're ready for some PC gaming chit-chat, because that's exactly what we are here for. So what would you like to talk about this week, Dan? Have you got anything nice lined up?
What, in the news way?
We've got a few things lined up, haven't we, man?
Got a couple of little things. Starting off with the Happy Cloud. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
We'll be talking about the Happy Cloud. We will be talking about surfing, of all things.
Yeah.
Surfing on a
and
PC,
sex.
and not web surfing, and sex. We will be answering whether or not video games are better than sex. Could it be? Perhaps it could. Then we'll be talking about what we've been playing. We will be talking about what's coming out next week, as always. And we'll be finishing the show up with our question of the week, where we ask you what you think of the whole Windows 8, Xbox kind of rumory type weird stuff that's been going on. We spoke about it a little bit on last week's show, but we decided that this week we would try and find out what you thought about it. So if you haven't answered that yet, get over to ironhammers.org. You should see it on the front page there somewhere, and leave a comment. I will approve it during one of our 2 breaks during the show, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. But right now we are going to get straight into this week's PC gaming news. So, Dan, man, I believe you've got the first story, as you mentioned a minute ago, the Happy Cloud. Tell me all about it.
It sounds horrible, doesn't it? It's a terrible name.
It's an awful name, man. I don't know why they went with that name. I really
basically, the idea behind it is it's a cross between kind of Steam and on Live.
Kind of,
yeah. It's in beta at the moment. It's only available in the States, I believe.
It is.
And it seems like quite a great idea. I can't believe some of the things they're saying here. Basically, the idea is you can buy the game and start playing it within, if you've got a 20 megabits per second connection, 2 minutes. Whereas the normal download, including install, would be over an hour.
Yep.
Which is kind of a cool idea. And once you can buy the game, it's yours to keep, downloaded to your machine. Once you've finished actually getting it all to your machine. But I don't know how it's going to work with some of the more open games. How if you're playing Fallout or something.
Yeah, like how is it going to decide which content it downloads next? But I think World of Warcraft can do that, and you can just download the starting area to begin with, and then when you move to the next area, it will keep downloading in the background, and then if you haven't got to the part you need by the time you get there, you just wait on a loading screen for a bit longer, and it will just say downloading content or something. But I don't know how it's going to work with this, although later on in the show I will be discussing my experiences with it, because I got to play with it a little bit earlier on today. So we'll get to that a bit later. But basically the idea is that it is going to allow you to download your games while you're playing them. So it's kind of cloud gaming without really being cloud gaming. So you've got none of this weird streaming video stuff that OnLive has. There's none of the input lag that you have with OnLive either. Even if you're sitting right on top of the servers, I guess there has to be at least some input lag.
Yeah.
But with this, you're actually running it off your machine. So not only do you get no input lag, but you also get all the settings that you'd get in a normal game. You can play it at the full resolution of your monitor, and you can. It's just like having a disc copy of the game, except you don't have to wait so long to download it. But does it work? We'll find out later on.
Yeah, well, there's 7, 8, 9, 10 titles available at the moment.
10 titles.
A fair few of them with a fair price knocked off them, really, apart from a couple of them.
Yeah, there was one which seemed really cheap. It had 75% off. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's Amnesia. You can pick that up for the hefty price of $5 if you're trying out the beta in the States. One for you there, Zero.
Although they have informed me that UK is top priority to get the service next. So.
Oh, brilliant. I'm looking forward to trying it out.
Yeah, so was I. That's why I did. Although obviously results aren't going to be quite comparable with all the service being in the US.
Exactly.
As I say, we'll talk about it a bit later. But they've got games from Paradox on there, like the Mountain Blade games. They've got games from Warner Brothers. I think there's Lego Batman and
Lego Harry Potter 1 to 4.
Lego Harry Potter.
Cities in Motion.
Cities in Motion, another Paradox game.
Yeah, and Fear and Fear 2.
And Fear and Fear 2. Oh boy.
And that's the whole list, actually.
That is the whole list. Fear 2, man. We'll get to that later. Anyway, next piece of news this week is I don't know if you guys might remember, you may have seen it on the website, and I don't know if I spoke about it on a previous podcast, but I received a telegram not so long ago. I've actually got it right here, so I could show you guys who have got the benefit of watching the video stream. I received this. How strange, a telegram from FutureMark Game Studio. What could it be? Well, it says, Gorg Armada leaving Planet X. Attack on Earth imminent. Prepare defences. Reconnaissance footage and intelligence briefing posted on Spacewire with a link and a photo of some kind of 60s style UFOs. What a weird thing to get from a game studio. However, today they did release more information about what's going on, and they are releasing. We knew they were releasing 3 games, one being on Xbox Live Arcade, one being on the iPad, and one being on the PC. And they're all going to be called Unstoppable Gorg, and I believe Gorg is probably the name of the alien race that is involved in the game, although we still don't know too much about it. They've said a little bit. I'm going to be doing an interview with them hopefully over the next week sometime. I'm finding out a little bit more about it, asking a few questions. But they say it's basically a tower defense game by the looks of it. And there was a trailer that showed the 3 different games, and they all look different, but they're all kind of being made up to be kind of the same, but with just like different graphics and stuff, I guess. Because on the trailer they showed had a little tiny clip of a PC game, and it looked like it had the same graphics as their previous title, which was Shattered Horizon. But they say, in Unstoppable Gorg, you defend our solar system from the relentless march of a fearsome alien race by sending satellites into orbit around planets, moons, and space stations. Unlike other tower defense style games, in Unstoppable Gorg, you can move your satellites even after you have placed them. When the Gorg Armada attacks, you can move your satellites around their orbits to best defend against each wave. A convention-defying mechanic that brings new vitality and interaction to the tower defense genre. And then Jaakko Hapasalo, I don't know if that's how you say it, I'm sure it's not, I do apologise. He is the Director of Defence at FutureMark Game Studio. If you go over to Ironhammers, there's a press release they sent out, and it's all kind of laid out with like messages to the President and like reconnaissance footage, and kind of, they were kind of making a big marketing campaign, as you can see from the telegram. But he is the Director of Design at FutureMark Game Studio, I believe is his actual title. He says, with Unstoppable Gorg, we have been inspired by classic sci-fi films to create a game of flying saucers, rubbery aliens, dodgy effects, and earnest heroes. Unstoppable Gorg builds on the core tower defense mechanics that fans love, while shattering the genre's conventions to provide exciting new experiences. What do you make of that, Dan?
Yeah, I'm not really a huge tower defense fan, but I'll give it a go.
Oh man, I love some tower defense, especially Plants vs Zombies. That's good. But yeah, this looks really like. I really want to know more about it, because, like I say, we really don't know that much. We know it's tower defense, we know it's on 3 different platforms, and we know it looks completely different on all 3 platforms by what I've seen so far. So I'm really keen to kind of talk to them and find out how similar they're going to be and how different they're going to be, and whether there's going to be any sort of cross-platform storyline or cross-platform scoreboards, or who knows, man. I don't know what's going to happen with it. But now they've finally released this press release, which I might add, I did get 2 weeks ago, along with that telegram, but I wasn't allowed to speak about it, which kind of sucked. Yeah, now I can tell you all, and it still doesn't really tell you all that much. But go over to Ironhammers, read the press release. It's quite funny. There's a little trailer there. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to wait until we find out more, I guess. But Dan, can games be better than sex?
Well, apparently so, according to snack food purveyors Doritos, who, in advance of their new Doritos Dip Desperado Facebook game, has uncovered some interesting facts about us gamers. Apparently 49% of the women in the survey, which was of 2,052 people, I think, said they played online games, but whether or not that was StarCraft or Cityville, I haven't got a clue. And it's only 1% behind the men.
Probably the
so
latter.
50%. So, there's a lot of women gamers now. But of these 49%, 84% said they enjoy their gaming sessions, with 62% enjoying working out, 71% enjoying having a bath, and 75% having sex. Oh, that's 70%, sorry, having sex. Which is probably quite flawed because it's Doritos, and let's face it.
Yeah, I don't know if the Doritos customers are the ones that get sex. I don't know.
Well, maybe some kind of feeder. But yeah, it's quite strange that out of all the, there was quite a difference between more of them wanting to play games online than actually have sex. Anyway, I thought I'd mention that because...
Where was the article at? I think it
that
originated from MCV, and then it was posted all around the internet. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I've got this one from PC World, which is saying thanks to MCV. I'm not entirely sure where it came from, to tell you the truth.
Well, you just have to search for games better than sex on
Yeah.
Google, I guess. But
It's an
says
article on
PC
PC World. Yeah.
Superstarler says sex is better than games. Agreed. So maybe we should find 2,054 people and we should ask them that question and find out.
Well, let's hope it goes better than the Twitition.
Yeah. And the Extra Life so far too, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. I've got a sponsor. Woo!
I know you have, but I haven't. So somebody in this chat room needs to give me some money to sponsor me.
Thank you, Superstarless.
I don't care how much it is. But moving on to the next story, and I kind of picked this one out, Dan, knowing that you were going to be on the show, knowing that you're into the old surfing, and there's a game called The Surfer coming to the PC, and I was just kind of pretty pleased that this type of game was actually coming to the PC, to be quite honest, because we don't get many of the like sports kind of titles coming out on the PC anymore, and it really does annoy me. This one's coming out on the PS3 and the PC, although it is coming out on the PS3 about 3 months before it comes out on the PC. I don't know why. Perhaps we get the definitive version. That's what they like to say when there's a delay.
Yeah. Fixed version.
But they say, speaking about it, the development director named Andrew West, is he not the mayor in Family Guy? Am I right?
Adam West.
Adam West, that's close enough. A West, same initial. From Bungara Software, I believe they're Australian.
They've got to be with a name like that.
He says, our game offers an arcade-based surfing paradise for both surfers and gamers in search of the definitive, authentic surfing video games experience. We are focused on capturing the actual feeling of surfing with the innovative control system, the physics-driven animations, and the sharp cameras, all working together to deliver the closest thing to riding a wave. And in brackets, Dan says...
Yeah, bloody right, it'll be shit.
And your reasons for that?
I have never played a surfing game that they all profess to capture the feeling of surfing, but you can't do that. There's a bit of fear that's involved when you're riding a big wave, and I'm not going to feel that whilst I'm sitting in front of my computer.
And just the general unstableness of water, like... Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's
water physics is so difficult to do, even in, like, say, a game which uses a boat or anything like that, man. It's so difficult to get water physics right, and when you're actually using the water physics to actually propel the actual vehicle, so to speak, it makes it even more difficult, man. So I don't know how good it's going to be. I've got my fingers crossed for it. The graphics look pretty rough at the moment.
Yeah, but it is pre-alpha. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not sure whether or not the graphics will get much better, or whether they're kind of, hopefully they're trying to get the game mechanics right first, because I'd much rather have it look how it does now and play nicely than look really, really pretty with all shiny water and stuff, but then just play like Tony Hawk's.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to stick to going to the beach.
Go to the beach.
Yeah,
and I will
actually surf.
We'll eventually come down and go to the beach with you.
That'd be cool, man.
One day.
Probably spend more time in the pub next door to me, but...
Probably. Or we just take the beers to the beach. It's all good.
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive.
It's okay. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Not to promote drink driving at all. Common Troll made Ironhammers are pretty. I don't know, is Mediafire a download thing? Because if it is, I can't download it now. I believe it is. I'm not sure. We'll look at that during the break, which is coming up right now, believe it or not. So, we've got a little track for you here. As always, we play you a little bit of music, and we ask you guys whether you can guess what game it is from. So, let's do that. When we come back, we'll be talking about what we've been playing this week. I'll be revealing whether or not I found that the Happy Cloud actually works, and whether it made me very happy. And we'll be talking about what's coming out next week before we move on to the final part of the show. So get on over to Ironhammers and answer our question of the week if you're listening live. If you haven't done so yet, here's the track. We'll be right back. Hello everybody and welcome back. How did you like that? I don't think anybody in the chat room there guessed that one right. I don't think anybody in the chat room actually guessed it at all. I think they were all too busy looking at Common Troll's pretty little picture that he made me. So do thank him for, and I will make sure to use it in the future as well as today. The answer was in fact from God of War 2. You're all going to say you know it now, aren't you? No? Maybe they're not.
It sounded like a Pink Floyd for a bit, and then it all changed when I came back.
It got a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
It sure did. And that's what I like. So that's all good. Anyhow, I think it's about the time of Tuesday where we talk about what games we've been playing this week. And Coot, to answer your question about you wouldn't have thought I would have put an Xbox game on here, I believe it's a PlayStation game. Firstly, anyway. And secondly, do you realise how many PC game remixes there is out there? There's like a StarCraft one, a World of Warcraft one, a Team Fortress one, and a Portal one. And I think we've played all four of those twice. So yeah. But yeah, those PlayStation 360 things, I know all about them. They're not great. But it was some pretty cool music, man. It's all good. And many of our listeners are not quite as elitist as you and I, and play multi-platform games, or at least had a PS2 at one point, which I believe God of War 2 was on. Would I be right? Or was it a PS3 game? I don't know.
I know it's out on the PS3. There's a limited edition Blu-ray copy with all three of them.
I believe the original was PS2.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think I'm right. Anyhow, what have we been playing this week? So, I think we'll kick it off with you, Dan, and we'll save the Happy Cloud to the end of the show. You played something a little bit different by the looks of it. I know I pushed it your way.
Yeah, it's very different. It's called Atypical RPG. I stupidly have forgotten who it's by now. But it's interesting. It's very cheap. I'll say that. That's in its favour. And
the price is £1.74 or something. I believe,
yeah, extremely cheap.
Very, very.
And it's been made by a really small team, 4 or 5 people, I think. It's all hand drawn, and it's parts of it are really nice. It's kind of a typical, excuse the pun, RPG.
You could call it that. I'm surprised they didn't give it a title like that.
Yeah. But
yeah, it looks kind of like the old school kind of Zelda, like NES games or like
Pokemon it does a
games,
bit, but
something
it's
like that kind of isometric viewpoint RPG type thing.
Yeah, and the very beginning, once you learn the communication, the bit that he talks quite nice. You have to choose if you're going to agree or disagree, and how you're going to react. If you're angry, sarcastic, sincere, and that's quite nice. And you've got a certain amount of time to do it in. But the weird thing is, as soon as it takes you through that little tutorial, you start with a turn-based game of football. Yeah, it's a bit odd. It'll take me a few goes to figure out the right pattern to actually guarantee winning it each time. It is quite strange.
That's not
and then you spend the rest of the game kind of figuring out what's going on. Basically, there's this girl that you've kind of got to try and woo, and some bullies that you've got to fight. That's pretty much all. Oh no, then you start going on, taking exams and doing lessons and stuff. And it's quite fun, and they obviously, haven't spent loads and loads of money on it. Collision detection is quite dodgy, but there's a nice little bit when an NPC comments on it. It made me laugh a couple of times.
How does the combat system work? Is it like a turn-based sort of thing, or is it like a...
Yeah, kind of. It starts off with like a power meter, and you've got to hit space at the right time, and you can reverse the attack. And then it goes into a kind of like Guitar Hero mode, where you've got to hit the arrow keys at the right time for the attacks. And it's incredibly simple. You can win all the fights without any problem whatsoever. But the conversations are definitely a lot harder to figure out the first time you play it, but once you've played it, you kind of know the entire story. So...
Now, I'm not knowing anything about it other than seeing the screenshots. It's completely different to what I expected.
Yeah.
Sounds it anyway.
Yeah, and, I think it's worth the £1.70 or whatever it is.
It's got to be pretty bad to not be worth £1.74.
Yeah, well, on a laughs per pound basis, it did better than a lot of so-called comedy films that have been at the cinema recently.
Fair play. I don't think that's too much to top. But yeah, so what kind of person do you think it would appeal to, man? Because by the sound, it's not like everybody's type of game.
No, I think if you've been to uni or college, or if you're at uni or college, it'd kind of make you laugh at certain things. It kind of reminded me a little bit of when I was at uni, but it's not at all action based. There's no action whatsoever, really. So if you're looking for a new COD, it's not your cup of tea.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, but for wasting half an hour or so, I think it only took me about 2 hours to exhaust everything in the game.
Which is like, I mean, I'm quite pleased that there's little games like that kind of coming out now. To be fair, man, because
I know, and £1 an hour, that's not too bad, really.
I've kind of gotten used to the although I still obviously buy full price PC titles and everything else. Being an iPhone gamer as well, like there's so many good games for 99 pence and even less than that, 59 pence in some cases, and I think that we will start to see that moving across to other platforms a lot more, in the case of this game, and I think we're already starting to see it on the Xbox Live Indie Arcade and all that kind of stuff. There's some really cheap games on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we are, as digital distribution becomes bigger and bigger, I think we'll start to see prices reflect games a lot more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's by Pyrodactyl.
Pyrodactyl.
Yeah, if you go to pyrodactyl.com, you can have a look at it and you can buy it from there or from Gamersgate. It's gone up. It's $1.99 now.
$1.99. Oh yeah, it did have a slight discount, 20%, 15% off or something, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that one. And that's what you've played this week, right? Apart from your little light gun game on the Xbox.
Yeah, I played. Well, actually, I did do some other things on my Xbox, which ruined my legs. But you can hear more about that on another show.
You can. And this week I've been playing, first up, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, because it came out on the PC, and I had to have it. I was kind of gutted that Super Street Fighter 4 never made it to the PC the first time around. Although now they released the Arcade Edition, I'm kind of glad that it didn't come out the first time around, because then I would have bought it as Super Street Fighter 4, and then I would have had to get the Arcade Edition as well. But Super Street Fighter 4, it's been out for a while on the consoles and stuff, as you're all aware. The Arcade Edition is basically just the definitive version of Street Fighter 4. It's got everything in there, it's got all the characters, so many characters, they're all unlocked from the start from what I can see. It's just really cool, and I can play as Jury now. Thumbs up to that, as you can also hear on another podcast, but we'll mention that a little bit later on as well. We like to build the hype. There's not really too much to say about it, to be fair. It's Super Street Fighter 4. I'm sure pretty much everybody listening knows what Street Fighter is. They know that it's a really rock solid fighting game, and they know that it looks absolutely beautiful on the PC. And what I will say is, I think they've actually optimized the engine for the PC a little bit more since Street Fighter 4 came out. It's not like they've just added some content. I think they've done something, because I used to struggle to run it on high settings on Street Fighter 4 sometimes. It would get a bit of slowdown, because it's the type of game where you really need 60 frames per second, because the slightest little jog in gameplay can completely throw you right off. But I've been playing Super Street Fighter 4 on high settings, and it's been running at 95 to 100 frames per second, absolutely solid all the way through. So it looks like they've done something to make it run a little bit nicer on the PC this time as well. Even though it ran okay before, it was just quite taxing on the hardware. Looks beautiful. If you've bought Street Fighter 4, then perhaps, as Cootie's saying, it's too expensive. Another £25 to get a few more characters. Yeah, perhaps not so much, but there is a lot more to it than that. There's all the new content, and you get to beat cars up, man. You get to beat cars up, like old school times. And there is a bit more to it than just characters, I would say. Although a lot of it is that. But if you haven't bought Street Fighter 4 already and you want to check out a fighting game on the PC, like, this is pretty much the one to get. There's not many fighting games out on the PC unless you want to go down the kind of arcade emulation route. So apart from that, this is the game to buy if you want a fighter on the PC. If you haven't got Street Fighter 4, if you have, like Cootie saying, £25 could be a bit much. It was down to like £20, I believe, and it had a little bit off before. Maybe wait till it drops a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. I love it, man. It's awesome. Love every minute of it. And it's kind of a shame that you can't play people who are on Street Fighter 4 with it, because it kind of splits the community a bit. But yeah, Cootie says we should be able to upgrade for £5, which I believe you can if you're on the Xbox and you already own Super Street Fighter. You can upgrade to Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
Oh, yeah.
By way of DLC. And actually, there's a couple of game modes in there that I've tried, like the challenge mode and things like that, where it actually says the game will currently be reverted to Super Street Fighter 4. Like, this mode cannot be played in Arcade Edition. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's great. I can't fault it, apart from perhaps the fact that it's about the 12th release of Street Fighter 4. Although, only the second on the PC, so it's not quite so bad. And it has been a while now since Street Fighter 4 came out. Don't forget, like, I know it's so similar, but it's not like just like a few months after it released. You know, it has been a long while since Street Fighter 4 came out now. So I think there's plenty of people out there that that are willing to put that money out for it because they really want something new, because they're kind of done with Street Fighter 4. I don't know. It's all down to personal preference and the size of your wallet, I guess. But let's move on to the Happy Cloud, which of course we spoke about at the very beginning of the show. I did get a chance to check it out. They had a test account running for like press and stuff to have a little look at it, and because I'd heard it was all US based, I was like, I wrote the post up on the website yesterday, I believe it was, and I kind of wrote on there, well, I haven't had a chance to play it because it's all US based and all that jazz. And then one of the guys, I think he's like the chief executive of the company or something, he read the post and he got back to me saying, it is US only, but we have got a press account you can try it on, which is like region unlocked. So earlier on today I jumped on there, checked it out, and it works. It certainly works, man. Basically, I didn't have too much time because I was doing it this afternoon. We was getting other things ready for the show. We were trying to play StarCraft. I mean, you've got to balance these things, you know. Basically, I jumped on there, I had a look at the list of games, and there was Harry Potter and all that jazz. We spoke about it before. The Mount and Blade games I've already got like on my hard drive and that anyway, because I've played them before. And the one that really took my fancy was Fear 2, and I figured that it would be quite a big game compared to some of the others. Like, I know some of the Paradox games are quite small, so I thought I'd put it through its paces and I would try and download a bigger game. Fear 2 came in at 12 gigabytes. And I actually got my iPhone out and set the stopwatch going from the moment I clicked to start downloading, because you of course have to buffer a certain amount before you can actually play the game. Obviously, you can't just launch it from nothing, it doesn't work like that. But it took 11 minutes and 48 seconds before I was actually booting the game up, and I was getting about a 10 meg download speed, which is half of my actual speed, and I'm assuming that's more down to the server location because it's in the US. Yeah. So if I'd have been getting my full download speed, we can say it would have probably been roughly half of that. So it'd probably been about 6-7 minutes before I was booting a 12 gigabyte game, and you can't really argue with that. And once I booted it up, it just runs fine, man. I was playing Fear 2, it was putting the absolute fucking willies up me. Like, that little kid in that game is just so creepy, man. It's just weird. And the way she just appears in front of you and behind you and over there, and then she's gone, and then you're kind of just looking around like, where is she going to come from next? And then she doesn't, and then she does. And my heart actually like kind of like misses a beat every time she appears, man. Like, I don't get scared by things like that usually, but it's just that little girl, man. She's weird. Like, I played Fear 1, I never got really around to, I played a little bit of Fear 2 before, so the level I played through, I had played, and that was another thing. I wanted to see how it was running, like kind of in comparison to when I remember playing it before. and I can't really remember how long load times were, so I can't say whether they were longer because it was downloading content or not.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be working just fine. You just download a very small little exe file, which I think is about 14 megabytes or something, and that allows you to launch the games from your browser, and it like kind of downloads them and it asks you where you want to save them, so you can save them anywhere on your PC. And I don't see any reason why, once you've downloaded it, that you wouldn't be able to actually back it up onto a disk or something, should you wish to, so you don't actually have to download it again, and the game is then yours. Like, it's just another download service, but you get to play the games a lot quicker, because there's not many places with a speed in the UK, or if any, where you could play a 12 gigabyte game after just 12 minutes.
No.
That doesn't normally happen. So it totally works. It works well. There is only 10 games on there at the moment. The prices aren't too bad. How the UK prices will be when that comes into play, we'll have to wait and see. How long it'll be before UK servers are up and running, we'll also have to wait and see. But yeah, it definitely works, man.
Cool.
I can't fault it. And like I say, the game runs great. You've got all your settings. You can crank up everything. You can run it at full resolution. And then you can actually have to change your pants after you finish playing Fear 2, because that girl is actually fucked up, man. I don't know what it is. It's that one game. It's only that one game, and it's just the way she comes out of nowhere, man. Like, literally, like, sometimes things will jump out from around a corner, and you can kind of expect things to be around a corner, but she just appears in front of your face, man, and it's fucked up. But given like how much kind of fun I had playing that, it's now really making me want to go and play Fear 3, which it'd been so long since I played a Fear game that I didn't I don't know, the memories of it weren't really there, I guess, and I kind of Fear 3 I kind of thought, yeah, another FPS, I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah.
But now I actually really want to go and play Fear 3, so I think I'm going to have to do that. Maybe I'll try and do it by next week, week after, and we'll talk about that, and you can all call me a wuss all over again. So that's what we've been playing this week. Happy Cloud did make me fairly happy, although I was rather scared at the same time. But let's take a look at what's coming out next week, shall we, man?
Yeah, why not?
Why the hell not? Let's see what's incoming. So, incoming this week, we have a short list. This time of the year is awful, isn't it, man?
Oh, it's terrible.
There's just nothing coming out. You'd think there'd be like at least like 2 or 3 developers that say, there's nothing coming out in July or June.
Yeah.
Like, let's just release a fucking big game and everybody will buy it because they're so desperate for something to play. But it just doesn't seem to happen. I don't know why. It's really strange.
Everyone wants to hold them till Christmas, don't they?
Yeah, they do, but I think a lot of games who do hold them till like the fourth quarter of the year, or even late third quarter,
Yeah.
may actually sell more copies if they released it like in the middle of the year when there was nothing else to play, because
Definitely.
it would totally eliminate like 50% of the competition at least. But coming out this week anyway, what we have Runespell Overture, which comes out on Steam on the 20th of July, which is like a kind of RPG-ish type game, which has got poker elements to it. It's got kind of a card-based game to it, and collectible cards where you build up your decks, and it's got an RPG kind of storyline going along with it and stuff. And it says it has poker elements, and looking at it, it actually has like proper playing cards as well as these collectible cards. So I don't know exactly how it works. It comes out on the 20th of July, which is tomorrow, or 13 minutes ago, now today, if you're listening live. Then we have Supreme Ruler Cold War, which I believe is available now digitally. I think you can grab it from Gamersgate from today. I think it launched today on there. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with that. It's one of these paradox strategy games. It's all kind of a map with dots, and it's all about planning stuff. It's all based in the Cold War. You can take control of Russia, and you can launch nukes at American stuff, by the sounds of it. I don't know. It sounds fun, but those types of games are not really for me. I don't know if they're really for you, Dan, because we do have a review copy, and I know you're going to be looking for something else to review at the moment, so if it takes your fancy, maybe
I'll have a look.
Maybe you'd like to check it out, and you can write us up a review, and we can talk about it on next week's show or the week after, whenever you've got round to playing it.
That sounds like a plan.
So we'll tell you some more about that. I have got it sitting here waiting. Finally, a game that I don't have digitally, but I do have sitting here in a box, and believe it or not, it's still in the wrapper. Check
How
this
can
one
this
out.
still be in a wrapper, man? This looks amazing.
Demolition Company Gold Edition launches on the 22nd of July in its box version, which is 2 days' time. But I have one now. Aren't I special? Yeah. Ever had the urge to break something? This all-new version of Demolition Company gives you the chance to swing the wrecking ball. And I was chatting with my little brother Link, who's in the chat room there earlier about it, and I was kind of laughing, saying, you know, it's going to be another one of these sucky kind of sim games. But I think that I could actually have some fun knocking buildings down, man. Do you reckon?
Yeah, well, it's another one of those games that I look at and think, I wouldn't mind giving that a go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to give it a try.
But then we're kind of both a bit weird like that.
Yeah, I am a bit weird like that, definitely. So I think, I don't know how long it will last. Coot says he loves swinging balls around. Classic Coot comment in the chat room. I don't know how long the fun will last. I can imagine after you've like torn 4 or 5 buildings to the ground that maybe you've had enough of it. Coot seems to
You
agree.
could always then go on to German Truck Simulator.
You could always go straight onto that. Trucks and trailers is sitting there. So look at this, man. This is terrible, actually, to be fair. I should really be like playing these games, but I've got Demolition Company in the wrapper. I've got Street Cleaning Simulator in the wrapper.
Oh, dirt has never looked so good.
I've got Trucks and Trailers in the wrapper. And I've still got Traffic Manager in the wrapper. I think there's another one about somewhere too, I'm not quite sure.
Stop sending these games!
They just like to send them out, man.
I'm looking forward to Pro Farm 1.
Pro Farm 1?
Yeah.
The hell's that?
It's an add-on for Farming Simulator 2011.
Really?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
I actually got offered a copy of Farming Simulator 2011 from somewhere the other day, and I thought of you immediately. But yeah, I don't know. That comes out on the 22nd of July also. And finally, coming out next Tuesday, which I wasn't sure whether to put it on this week's releases or next week's releases, because it will come out the day that we're doing the show next week. But I figured it would already be out by the time we did the show, so it kind of comes out, it's incoming next week, it will be coming the week after. So, The Sims 3 Town Life stuff, which is town life stuff for The Sims 3, I guess.
It's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I want to add, because it's becoming such a running theme throughout the show recently, Dungeons and Dragons Daggerdale.
Oh, that again!
I think we've mentioned it on like the last 6 shows. Like, it's supposed to be hitting Gamersgate. There's been so many different dates which date back to like, I think like May the 9th or something was the first date they had. Now Gamersgate is saying it comes out on the 27th of July. However, it is available to buy on Steam now for £9.99. Although I've heard it is pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. I haven't played it myself, and I hate to be prejudiced. But
Yeah, you've got to try something before you slate it, haven't you?
yeah, so I've heard it's bad. I'm not saying it is. But
That's the rumour going
I
around.
trust my source. I'll put it that way. Do we have a pick of the week this week then, Dan? What would you take out of those games?
Oh, God, that's a tough one. It's a toss-up between Supreme Ruler Cold War and Demolition Company Gold Edition.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to pick one.
Oh, Supreme Ruler.
Supreme Ruler Cold War.
Yeah.
And you're going to get to play it too, so your pick was all good, man. Your wish is my command. So check back in the next show, or maybe the week after, if you want to hear what Dan thinks of Supreme Ruler Cold, I can't even say it, that game. But for me, I actually think it has to be the Rune Spell Overture. Like, it sounds really interesting, man. And I'm a bit of a sucker for poker.
Yeah, just as long as like they don't have ridiculously hard to understand card games like Caravan or something.
Yeah, we don't need none of that shit.
No.
But it kind of looks poker-based. Like I say, it's got the proper playing cards, and there's kind of it seems to be like you might be able to kind of do spells and stuff. I don't know, man. But it looks kind of fun from the trailer and the screenshots. I might have to check that one out for myself and find out. Say it comes out tomorrow or today or Wednesday. Strange day to come out, but it's on Steam. I'm not sure if it's on any other digital distribution services, but that's where I saw it. I haven't seen it anywhere else. Yeah, that's my pick for this week. could be worth a look. So check that out. Check them all out. You might not want to buy them, but you can at least have a browse on the net and have a look. Why the hell not? So it's time for us to take another break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about our question of the week. So there is one final chance. This is about a 5-minute track I think I've got here for this last break. So you've got about 5 minutes to get an answer in if you haven't done so yet. I'll go through and quickly try and approve any extra ones that we might have. We'll be reading them all out when we come back. We want to know what you think about Xbox, Windows 8, and whether you can play games on Xbox with Windows and games for Windows, Xbox Live, and whatever it is. I don't know. We'll talk about that when we come back. In the meantime, see if you can guess which video game this song is a remix from. We'll be right back. back, everybody. Couple of guesses coming in the last minute in the chat room there. We had Common Troll guessing Choo Choo Rocket. That was a fun game, man. First online console game, if I remember rightly. We used to plug the old Dreamcast into the phone line. That's old school.
It's crazy fast speeds back then.
Oh yeah, man. That was like, it must not have even been 56k, because I think it was like even before that time, man. I don't know. Link says Super Street Fighter, Duke Nukem. I'm afraid not, guys. It was actually from Mega Man 8.
Damn it.
Usually the Mega Man stuff is quite distinctive and people get it.
I got the wrong Mega Man. I was thinking it was Mega Man.
You were?
Yeah.
You're at least close. Coot says it was 56k, so maybe I was wrong. I got my dates mixed up. Either way, it was crazy. I remember when the Dreamcast came out and they were like, you can play games online and like on a console, and I was like, what's going on? Like, that's not the kind of thing you do on a console. It's not what they're for. Like, they're toys. What's going on? Like, what's happening? Anyway, it's about time for the final part of this week's show. Question of the week coming right up. So this week's question of the week, we kind of asked you what you thought about the recent rumours around the Windows and Xbox 8, Windows 360, 720 kind of stuff, which have ranged, according to my post that I wrote, from Windows 8 playing 360 games or Xbox 720 games, right through to rumours that the Xbox 720, or whatever the console sequel may be named, will just solely be running Windows 8. And like I say, we discussed it a little bit on last week's podcast, but we want to know what you think as PC gamers, let you get a little bit of input. What we do this last part of the show for. So, would you like to see them on your PC? Would Windows 8 on the 720 tempt you to perhaps buy a console? Who knows? We've had a few answers come in. The first one comes from Lunatich. Dan, would you like to take it away on that one?
Yeah, Lunatich says, I doubt Xbox 360 games are going to be playable on the PC. They're just too unoptimised. You'd get about 20 frames per second. And then Windows 8 is nothing but Microsoft attempting to fit in popular culture. For fuck's sake, it's one, focused on touchscreen. How many PC users do you know have touchscreens? And two, it comes with Xbox Live built in, killing it for most PC gamers already. Microsoft has shown how much they care about the PC gamer when they moved the Games for Windows Live forums and Games for Windows Live marketplace to Xbox.com.
Fair point.
Indeed.
Link Goodin has his normal little rant and says, this would sink the Xbox if it had Windows 8. It's just a PC and we all know how superior PCs are. Unless your console has a little Nintendo logo on it.
Are you sure he's your brother and not Lifelikes?
He might be, man. I don't know. Maybe they shipped him over from Pennsylvania like when he was a young child. I don't know. What does John Edwards say, Dan?
He says Microsoft should, in my opinion, stop trying to bridge the gap between PCs and console platforms. It's a nice theory, but applying it has always failed in the past. PC gamers and consolers don't mix. It's like trying to combine indie racing with go-karts, then expecting people driving to be equals on track.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, it's just a nice little analogy.
It certainly is a nice little analogy. Works. That definitely works. Soraf says, anyone remember Shadowrun? Great game and allowed console and PC games to play together. I'm not so sure about the great game part, dude. I think you might be wrong. Anyway, he says, problem being console gamers stopped playing that game as there was no competition for those with a mouse and keyboard. Those with a keyboard and mouse would be better as they have more control. What I think is that games will therefore be made for consoles instead of PC to bridge this gap. And I think that if we do see like 360 games in Windows 8, that we'll probably be seeing them having the Xbox 360 controller as a mandatory peripheral, perhaps.
Yeah, or Kinect.
Maybe so. Crazy Ivan, what does he say?
He says, well, hopefully this isn't the only way I'll be able to play Red Dead Redemption on my PC. I couldn't care less about 360 games on my PC. In fact, it would be a step back, a major step back. I guess it would solve the problem with RR once and for all.
I'm actually doing a quick Google search here because I'm pretty sure it's coming to the PC, is it not?
I believe... I don't know. know LA Noire is.
It was LA Noire. I knew I was bitching about a Rockstar game coming late to the PC. It was LA Noire. I got confused. There's not going to be no Red Dead Redemption.
No.
But as he says, if that's the only way he's going to get to play it, then perhaps he could do it. And as we were talking a little bit about this before the show, weren't we, Dan? I was saying, like, the ability for me to play games like Forza, mainly Forza, I can't really think of too many others, like Xbox exclusives such as Halo and things like that. Like, they don't appeal to me. Gears of War, that kind of stuff. Perhaps Alan Wake, I wouldn't mind playing.
That was good fun.
And I would love to get Marvel vs. Capcom going as well. But apart from that, there's not really too much. Apart from Madden, I'm so annoyed that we don't get Madden on the PC anymore. Sounds like a really strange thing for me to say, but I played those games ever since like Madden 95 on like the Mega Drive or something.
Yeah, I used to play the old ice hockey ones back then.
Yeah, man, they were great. Like EA Hockey and NHL 95, they were great. And I used to have so much fun. We used to play multiplayer with the two controllers, and it used to be a really good like kind of multiplayer experience that I kind of wish I could still play on the PC, and we don't get that anymore. So perhaps that as well. And finally, Cootie says it would be good to play Windows games on Xbox and vice versa. The new Xbox will have to come out with some beefy hardware for any PC gamer to be tempted, only if it has mouse and key support, of course. It could be Microsoft's with a $ for an S. I like that. Plan to slowly move people to PC as the Xbox 360 itself makes a loss. It's the games that bring in the money. See, this was kind of something that I was touching upon when I was saying last week about perhaps Windows 8 being on the Xbox and the Xbox actually being a PC, and perhaps therefore being a little bit more expensive. Because I think that the Xbox 360 has got such a fan base now that a lot of those players, there is a lot of the younger players, but there's also a lot of people with disposable income that play Xbox games, you know. And I think that if a new Xbox came out and it was a lot more expensive, I think they probably would drop the money for it. And perhaps they are trying to get people back to the PC. It sounds completely opposite to everything that we've seen. But perhaps branding PC games as kind of maybe Xbox for Windows rather than games for Windows, maybe it could see a few people do it. And Microsoft make a lot more money on those copies of Windows 8 than what they do on an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So, I really don't know, man. Like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, would you like to see it? Do you think there's any benefit? As somebody like, I mean, you have a 360 and you play games on the PC and stuff as well. So, what does it mean for you?
I guess it'll mean I won't have to upgrade if I can play Windows 8 games on my 360. Then, well, not my 360, whatever it's going to be. Then I suppose I've got the choice then of either upgrading my PC or changing my console.
It would probably eliminate that need. If it was vice versa, then it would totally eliminate that need for two. Yeah,
and I could maybe just use my PC as a media set, or my Xbox as a media center, and I've got no idea what I'd do. It's a tough one.
I think you'd end up with just putting the money from an Xbox 360 or 720 or whatever they're going to call it, who knows. Yeah. I think they'd be silly not to call it the 720 after it's built up that name for so long, but we know Microsoft, they do some crazy things. But yeah, I think perhaps in that case, if the 720 games were playable on the PC, which has been rumoured as well, there's been all sorts of fluff going about, who knows if any of it is even true. The only thing that we do know is that there'll be Xbox Live integration on the PC, which I think was more from a being able to communicate with your friends while you're not on your Xbox kind of standpoint. I think that's what they were going for with that more than anything else. So I think that's kind of a separate entity altogether. But who knows, man? I
do know one thing.
What's that, man?
I won't be buying a Wii U.
No. No. Superstar says 720 is a shite name. It's not that
so
much
it's
different
360.
from 360. It's just different digits. It could be the 945 for all I care.
You're late for work, stop playing.
Still want to buy one. Kiri says, for fuck's sake, Games Windows Live sucks. I want to log in once, and that's for Steam. Fair play. I kind of agree, but I think there has to be some competition because otherwise, Steam will just become a monopoly. I mean, they already are in a way, but there are like other startups coming up, like kind of biting on their heels, kind of thing. Do you agree?
Definitely. I mean, they also still have competition from the retail stores as well, so that helps a bit with the whole pricing issue. But yeah, if it ends up everyone just gets their games from Steam, then PC gaming could well be quite expensive.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's definitely. I mean, competition is always good, obviously, and I mean, Steam offers us a very, very good service. Like, I don't have any complaints with Steam at all, but I think they need to keep offering that service to keep the customers there, because there are people that are starting to like explore different avenues of getting their games. I mean, Gamersgate are doing very well. Like, I've spoken to their marketing people myself, and they're being really successful. I mean, they probably wouldn't still be going if they weren't. And I mean, you have Direct to Drive as well, which I think are now owned by Gamefly. I don't know if I'm right in thinking that.
Yeah.
I noticed that the media contact on the bottom of a Direct to Drive press release that came through today about a sale, the media contact was a Gamefly email address. So I don't know what happened there. I didn't hear about that one. But there's more of a US based kind of thing anyway. I don't know, man. I really don't know, and I don't think we will ever know until Microsoft comes out and says something about it, which I don't think will be happening just yet. Do you?
No, not until Peter Molyneux or someone says something.
Yeah, he'll come up with some crazy tactic that he'll never actually employ.
Yeah, the next Fable's coming out on PC only.
What I do want to mention quickly, because we're now coming up to the end of the show, we're about to wrap it all up anyway. On Ironhammers at the moment, it doesn't come up every time, but the top advert in the sidebar, the square advert, I don't know if it's only for UK people or whether it might show up for people in the US and stuff, but there's an advert that's coming up more often than not, which says, tell us what gaming means to you. I'll see if I can get the camera there to it so you can actually see what it looks like here. There we are. Tell us what gaming means to you, and you could win £100 in Amazon vouchers, although terms and conditions do apply, of course.
Oh, of course.
They have to. But this is a little something. Wow, I've gone really orange since I moved that camera. Anyway, that doesn't matter. It's being run with our friends at the Game Tribe, who have done great things for us since we joined up with them not so long back. And basically, it's a survey that you can fill in. You just click that link, it will take you to a survey, you can fill it in, kind of asks you about the website that you clicked through from, and why do you visit that website. And basically, it's good for you because you can win £100 worth of Amazon vouchers, and it's good for us because we get a whole lot of feedback, and the Game Tribe are going to issue us with a full report of everybody that clicks through from Ironhammers, so we can get a whole lot of data that we would never normally know. I mean, we kind of know where some visitors come from. You know, we can see where they've clicked from. Like, say, they might come from M4G, or they might come from Twitter or Facebook, or they might just go directly to the site. We know all that data, but we don't kind of know why they came there and how long we know how long they stayed and other things. But there's all kinds of different questions in there which will be really beneficial to us as a website, as well as to you if you happen to win £100 worth of Amazon vouchers, which, I mean, that's not bad. There's a few games you could get for that, or a graphics card, or a PC case, or you can buy just about anything on Amazon these days.
New keyboard.
Or a new keyboard, which Dan is desperate for, and so am I, man, definitely. But yeah, check that out. And Coot, Adblock Plus is for noobs, man. Like, yeah, I don't like Adblock Plus. When there's certain websites that totally overwhelm you with adverts, like these really like spammy websites, I totally understand it. But if it wasn't for adverts, there wouldn't be no gaming news on the internet. It just wouldn't happen because nobody would be able to make a living from it. So get rid of adblock, man. It's not cool, especially when you're on Ironhammers.
Yeah.
I need to get paid. You know, it's like so much hard work goes into the site, and it's not just, I'm not talking for my benefit. There's so much, like, so many other websites that put so much work into their all the content that they get, and I've lost my train of thought completely.
Adverts.
Keep saying there's too much spam. I know there's too much spam, but just stop going to the porn sites and you eliminate most of it. But yeah, they put so much hard work into it, and it is the only way they can get paid. And pretty much every smaller independent gaming website such as ours out there is really struggling to keep things going, and often even struggling just to pay their hosting fees at the end of the month, you know. So put it on if you get on a spammy website. I totally get it, man. Like, I've been on websites where everything's popping up all over the place and you constantly got to keep closing stuff so you can just actually see what you're trying to read. I totally get it. But I try to ensure that that doesn't happen on Ironhammers, and if anybody ever thinks that there's too many adverts or anything like that, just email me and I'll do what I can to try and fix it. You know, I don't want to annoy people with adverts. I'd much rather you have a happy experience when you come to the site. Feedback is always welcome, which brings us on to the final part of the show, man, where we tell people where they can find us over the next week. Take it away, Dan.
Well, I can be found as Hardly Damn on Games Windows Live, Twitter, Steam, Xbox Live, PSN. Not that I've actually got a PlayStation, so don't try me on that. And a few other places I can't remember at the moment. Thegamesman.com.
The Gamesman, and that will bridge the gap between me and you, because was it yesterday or the day before?
It was Sunday.
It was Sunday. Myself and, I mean, Dan's been a regular on the Gamesman for a while now, but I jumped on as well. They were in need of an extra person to jump on the podcast, and we did a kind of roundup of the last 6 months of gaming, didn't we, man? Like, all the releases and stuff. We took a look through them and kind of picked out some of the best ones and some of the worst ones.
Quite a fun show.
And we had a good time. And Super Starless, who's in the chat room, Danny, she was on the show as well, and of course Steve JSS Lifelike was there. We had a good old chat. It lasted almost 2 hours, I think, in the end.
It was a long one.
Steve's doing the editing process as we speak, trying to cut out the filler and streamline it down a little bit. But yeah, go check out thegamesman.com, and that episode should be up sometime during the week over there. I'll be sure to retweet it when it goes live. So follow me on Twitter. You can find me at twitter.com/ironhammer5, because somebody stole my S and I'm working so hard on getting it back. I had a good buddy of mine on Twitter I've been messaging backwards and forwards for a while. He sent me a direct message yesterday saying, dude, Ironhammers is free on Twitter. Get on there and register it now. He's like, I've just looked and you can register it. I've just tried and it's free. Get on there. And I went on there, and there's still this Steve Cramp guy who's in need of a holiday. So I don't know what's going on there. I found another thing on Twitter. I've sent them emails and stuff. I've clicked through different things. There's a thing where you can apply if somebody's taken a trademark, which obviously Ironhammers isn't a trademark. But there's also another thing for impersonation and misuse of a name. And I think that squatting on an account and not actually using it and never logging in and never tweeting and having 0 followers and not actually following anybody, I think that's misuse of an account, man. Do you agree? Because I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a stale account, isn't it? They should do something about it.
Yeah, so...
and so should the listeners.
They should. So they should head over to twitition.com/something. I'm about to find it, guys. Don't worry. I haven't actually got it up on the screen here. Twitition.com/RK44X, and you can sign the petition just by using your Twitter account. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. But I'll send them a message off. Hopefully we'll get it. But it's twitter.com/ironhammer5 as it stands at the moment. Facebook.com/ironhammer5. Also, YouTube.com/ironhammerstv. I've been trying to post more videos up there lately. There's been a few. If you go over there, please do subscribe, because every time you go onto YouTube, you'll see our latest videos come up and stuff, so you won't miss out on anything. And the video version of the show is going up on YouTube every week now as well, in its entirety. And hopefully, I've been doing other things lately and been busy, so I haven't been able to get all the images and stuff that I've been doing recently on the last couple of episodes of the shows. It's just kind of been the video, so it's perhaps a little bit boring to watch at times. But sometimes I'll show you a copy of Demolition Gold, or whatever it's called. And a Telegram. You saw the Telegram. So perhaps check out the YouTube version. And there's all other kinds of video trailers. There's a really cool Saints Row trailer I put up, which has video commentary, and there's all little Easter eggs that are in the trailer that you wouldn't normally notice. So check that out, youtube.com/ironhammerstv. You can go to itunes.ironhammers.org if you're of the iOS variety, or if you just use iTunes on your desktop, and you can subscribe to the podcast there. And if you do, please leave us a review, because ever since I changed the feed we had like quite a few reviews, and I think we've got 1 or 2 now, so we'd really love to have some back on there. So if you reviewed it before, perhaps we've lost it because of the change of feed, so we'd love you to go over and do it again. Justin.tv/Ironhammers, which is where we're broadcasting live right now, and if you're doing so and you haven't done yet, click the little follow button, which I think is down there somewhere, and you'll be notified whenever we're going live via email. You can turn the notifications off if you don't want them. It's just cool to know how many people we've got that actually care. It's always nice. And obviously you can find me on Steam as Ironhammers. You can find me pretty much anywhere. Just go into Google, put Ironhammers, but the main one, ironhammers.org. Go there, check out our awesome PC gaming content. Trying to put as much up every single day as we possibly can, so make sure you do that. And that brings us to the end of the show. So I would like to thank Dan for joining me again.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
As I believe you probably will do next Tuesday as well.
I'm sure I can manage it.
Awesome. It's always great to have a good chat, man. And thanks to everybody who's come along to the live version of the show in the chat room there. Many regulars coming along. Great to have you all here, getting involved in the chat and making the live show what we love it to be, because if there was nobody watching live, we may as well just record it. So if you listen to the pre-recorded show, perhaps try and come along on a Tuesday night, 11 PM here in the UK. We're here every week. Come along, maybe you enjoy it, maybe you prefer to just listen to it on your travels as an MP3. I don't mind, but maybe give it a go if you haven't thought of it yet, because I know there's a lot of people listening to the MP3 version that don't come along to the live show, and it is a lot of fun. At least I think it is. I don't know if the listeners agree. They come along, so there must be something there. So thanks to them.
Sexy voice.
Dan's sexy voice is always worth coming along for. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Dan, and thanks to everybody that listens and visits Ironhammers. We appreciate it 100%, and we'll see you all next week.
Game over.